We're back into the PCS tiebreakers, and we saved the best for last. This is the most impactful game throughout the entire split. The winner gets over to the second place, and the loser might just drop out to Beyond Gaming. We're going to thank our sponsors first here, Riot Games, Carry Life Arena, and of course CTBC that just got their side selection earlier today. And welcome back, Nightstar. Let's go through J-Team versus DSG. The stakes could not be higher as they both lost to Beyond Gaming in the second round robin.
Yeah, so for whichever team that does end up dropping this particular game, they'll have to take a best of 5 into Beyond Gaming. And while I would still favor the higher seed against Beyond Gaming regardless, I mean, Beyond Gaming, it feels like they have figured something out. So they are an extremely dangerous squad, and both DCG and J-Team do have pretty critical flaws of their own. So this is by no means just a done deal if it is that matchup against Beyond Game.
We're going to take a look at the rosters. DCG, starting with side selection here. Leaky, Hana, Nessie, Kriskata, and Woody. What a surprise this team has been. They had a very real chance of contesting for first place versus PSG, but those hopes were dashed. And we are going to come up here with I think they have a very similar game plan. You know, the Talia is so strong. They won the last matchup versus J-Team on the Swain, so we know that mid-game is likely coming through.
Yeah, for Deep Cross Gaming, Nesty feels really comfortable with his champion pool in this particular meta, has a lot of options to go to, whereas in the last split, he really struggled to find those picks to actually have impact. It was pretty much Ari or bust to a certain degree towards the end of the split. So I think this is a great look for Deep Cross at the moment. They also are going to be on the blue side, which is somewhat an interesting avenue to explore because of the fact that J-Team have not lost a game on blue side in particular. So yes, if J-Team are going to lose, it's going to be on this red side.
We'll see if J-Team can shake the red side curse for themselves. They had such a good last week. They went 5 games into the win streak, but dropped the final one versus Beyond Gaming to miss out on the opportunity of contesting BSG. Big loss right here, but they have a chance to redeem themselves. They are still playing in their own base due to the previous COVID situation. And talking about the champion pools a little bit, we're going to be taking a look at the bottom side. And so I've said this, but I think mechanically he's probably the best support that we've had this split. And in the meantime, Woody was also one of our weekly MVPs to come in here. So big strides for both of these players.
Yeah, Enzo really showcasing his champion pool diversity when it comes to the support role. And when you look at the other previous best supports that we have in our region, that's Kaiwing, that's Kino. This meta has not felt very comfortable for either of those two players. So Enzo really feels like he's overtaken both of them to secure himself the temporary #1 best support in this split. As we are hopping into pick and ban, the Talia does get removed off the table by the side of J-Team. They don't want to give that over to Nesty.
And we were talking about the big 3 from the mid laners right here. Ari, Talia, and then the Silas for Uniboy. And for Nesty, we have Ari, Talia, and I think Galio and Swain actually as the next one. So interesting champion pools right here. I feel like they're pinching Uniboy quite hard. Kalista also going to be taken off the board, while Gwen being banned away from Leaky in the top side. All of the prio supports 80 carries open, but DCG are going to focus down Uniboy. They're going to take away his big 3.
I feel like for J-Team, you're perfectly happy with locking in the Zeri X, and then on R3, you just go ahead and lock in the Zir here, just because you know that Korea, he's got a diverse enough champion pool, and Rock, maybe not the most diverse, because of the fact, well, we know he has a good champion pool. The issue is J Team still aren't really used to playing topside, so it does limit his effective champion pool in that regard. So maybe a J Team decides to say, hey, we need to secure a safe blind pick here on R3 for Rock in this instance.
Ooh, DCG gonna take away the rundown angle from J Team as they lock in the Vi and the Sivir here. J Team, on the other hand, trying to think about what to play for Uniboy. He's got a big champion pool, but his most played are gone. Ooh, they're gonna go for, I guess, a more carry and defensive setup here with the Azir.
And this feels very much similar to the matchup that we had in the previous game, right? Uniboy, the more lane dominant player gets the Azir in his hands, and Nesty, very similar to Pretender, not very strong in lane and looks to really have more of his impact in the team fight phase, and he's going to be on the Silas. So it's just a matter of how much CS is Nesty able to snag up during the lane phase, and how hard can Uniboy just smash this matchup.
We have DCT trying to target out some of the early prio jungles here. Zinzao off the board. Let's see if they go for the bundle, making a Lee Sin here. Take that one out.
Yeah, I would love to see the Lee Sin get removed, because Gemini, as good as he's been on this champion, Konya is just as good when he gets that champion in his hands. And, okay, they go ahead and remove the Trundle. Also a noteworthy ban, but it's not quite the same because of the fact you well, actually, maybe it's because they just want to make Cascada comfortable because of how Trundle can make things difficult for the Sivir, but surely it's going to be a Lee Sin and just say...
J Team's still going to hold on to that jungle pick for later. They're going to be going into the Sejuani early on, so securing big engage here. DCG, Leaky has played, let's see what else he's played. He's played the Mordekaiser a lot, quite into the Sejuani, and this would still be a very strong pick with the speed up here.
Yeah, this was my issue with locking in the top lane so early on, is that Leaky has a pretty comfortable champion pool set to play into weaker top lane champions or exploitable top lane champions. And there we go, we get to see the Mordekaiser come out yet again. He's had a lot of success on this champ, so I feel like DCG are given a bit of a gift in this situation. And I have to imagine for J Team, it's going to come down to maybe a Talon or a Kiana pick, some really big curveball pick that they want to come out with. Because if it ends up being a Viego, I don't see
They read your mind, but in the wrong direction.
Sure, you have the lane set up to maybe take advantage of it because you expect Azir in the hands of Uniboy to heavily dominate this matchup. And playing towards topside for the Sejuani can be effective because of how you're able to proc the Sejuani passive very quickly. That said, I have not been very enthused by Viego picks lately, Clement. They just feel so weak.
Hey, but Kongya Viego, maybe Kongya Viego is
But
cool.
He could also just win the game with Lee Sin.
That's very true. Actually, I have no good response to that one. It does seem like Kongya just wants to carry extra potential here, but we're gonna go over the compositions a little bit. DCG running tons of boosters, tons of engage, while J Team, I'd say late game carry with a big tank. Maybe front to back. How do you see these compositions lining up?
I expect them to play heavy topside early on, throw some attention to make sure that Lil V doesn't get set behind, but this is yet another opportunity for them to showcase that they can play topside and play around Kongya. This is a lot about Kongya rather than any of the other laners. Make sure he gets ahead. And for the side of DCG, I feel like they're very pick oriented, right? You have the Mordekaiser ultimate, you've got the Vi ultimate, very clear single target elimination champions, and the Rakan also able to amplify that. And for J Team, I think they have a much better straight up 5v5 front to back.
Okay, we'll see which team is able to hold strong here. Again, the stakes are incredibly high going into this one. The winner gets to skip the first round of postseason, while the loser has to face Beyond Gaming, the biggest joker of the league here and a potential danger to any team in the upper bracket. We're going to head to the Rift just shortly. These two teams have split the head-to-head over this split 1 game apiece. And frankly, the games haven't been all that close. You know, it's been pretty much decided by the mid game. So I want to ask you, who do you see coming out probably earlier? Like, who can dominate the mid game in your view?
I think this mid lane will end up going heavily in the favor of Uniboy. And depending on where, if Viego does path towards the top side, Sejuani again brings a lot of early game damage in any sort of top lane matchup. So it's very possible we get a quick snowball on this top half of the map. And it's hard for either of these bot lanes to really carve out a very tangible lead, as both of them kind of in this handshake matchup.
Wow, this this seems to be somewhat scripted. Both sides holding on to their auto attacks right there.
Hey, so JT multiverse, you know.
A friendly handshake early on. We got the abduct coming through from Nesty. Not going to hit onto anything, and just taking a look at the runes. Pretty standard across the board, and just like he called it, calls from both sides to expect more action to be coming towards the top lane.
Uniboy opting for the Conqueror, knowing that he's dealing with 4 low-range champions on the side of DCG. Even though there is a decent amount of mobility, should be able to easily get the Conqueror stacks stacked up very quickly. Adds that extra bit of sustain, but mostly it just adds on a ton of early damage once he gets that stacked up as well. So a lot of poke and a lot of scaling damage coming in from Uniboy.
Yeah, Leaky just throwing in some love taps against the Sejuani. We have seen how this matchup typically does go. You know, once the Mordekaiser gets a little bit of that lane push going in, it's actually kind of hard for Sejuani to fight back. But of course, the gank threat is always there. We do have Leaky going with his TP. This is usually what he brings with the Mordekaiser. And we are going to get bottom side starts from both the junglers, as you said, heading top side.
Both teams identifying that, hey, we've got farming bot lanes. All the action should go top here.
Ooh,
good sidestep.
Doesn't get anyone. It's going to take almost half his HP for that one. But a good trade back onto Kriskata with the level 2 advantage. Pressing forward onto Little V. And everything going as expected here as a Sivir. Does get a big shove early on.
Another thing to note is the fact that Leaky is running the Ghost. So a lot of teamfight power coming out. Also has the chase potential in the lane phase. But kill pressure definitely goes over to Rock in this instance, since he is rocking the Ignite. So all the more reason for Kongre to spend more time top here, because of the ability to just get access to snowballing off of this top lane. Now it's going to be him making his way over. Pop that vision plant maybe. Will throw on the ward, knows that there's no one actually around here, and this would be a very ballsy dive.
Yeah. Leaky's still incredibly healthy at this point. I don't think they can burst him through, but they certainly will try as they go underneath the tower. Let's see who is taking this one off. It's going to be Rock, and first blood over to Leaky. Kongre might fall as well. Oh, he walks back. Kongre able to avert disaster, but first blood does go over to the side of the Mordekaiser.
No way, he actually survives the tower shot with like 10 HP. That was... Look, I think both of us can agree that that was not the best dive attempt at level 3. Especially when Leaky is pretty much 80%. I just want to see how much health Kongre has at the end here. And this is just all about saying, hey, we just want to deny the extra EXP and gold from this minion wave. Ooh, that might have been literally 1 HP.
Yeah, Leaky could have got him just with the passive running there. But
Yeah, just getting close enough to hit him with Mordekaiser Sunfire.
True. As we are going to see the bot lane trade still going incredibly well for the Sivir. As we've seen throughout the entire week, this is kind of what we expect. Now taking a look at the top lane, we actually get a call coming in from Leaky, already thinking about later on into the matchup. Well, the tier does come out on the side of Rock. Really good defensive fight. Oh, he was spotted right there.
Yep.
Oops.
Not patient enough. It will prevent Leaky from walking up to the wave at least, and that's still a good situation, right? Because Rock does have a very sizable wave advantage, and even getting taxed a little bit.
Oh, Kongr is still gonna go through. He's not gonna find the stun, and
Now
in comes Hana for the turnaround. However, we don't have the Death's Grasp there landing here for Leaky, so J-Team are able to walk out of this just fine. But Kongr might have a little bit of trouble inside his own jungle as we now have the Mordekaiser leading lane. Leaky, once he hits level 6, he could just trap Kongr down, so we have to pay very close attention to how close he is. Oh, Hana gonna find Kongr over the wall with the Vault Breaker. Tons of damage being done already. Conqueror being procced, and Kongr has to run away.
Much better duelist in the 1v1. Coming in with the Vi, especially once you land that Vault Breaker, getting the additional proc onto your W. Once again, like Diego, you can have those big pop-up moments in team fights, but it feels like unless if your mid laner is just completely smashing, which I would have expected to see, you just never win the 1v1 against a lot of the other junglers right now. And
yeah,
I'm also surprised that Uniboy isn't dominating this mid lane, similar to, what Mission was doing to Pretenders.
Yeah, that's a big red flag right here. Now, to be fair, Kongr has spent the majority of his time in plain view and in the top lane. So, I think that might have something to do with just Uniboy kind of not pushing the lane as hard as he potentially could, because he knows that Vi is likely going to find him. But yeah, the laning phase not going the way that we expected to for J-Team. I totally agree with you in terms of our pre-game look at things, is that J-Team should have some sort of a lead in the top side. They do, but it's a very, very minor lead.
Yeah, doesn't feel as it's quite enough. And Tier 2 boots completed by Leaky with the Ghost makes him incredibly difficult to actually lock down. Lil V off on his own, but he's hugging the wall, so it's very difficult for DCG to just find a 2v1 kill. However, Hana is level 6 now, so while he is starting out this dragon, even later on, if he ever does see Lil V, he can just chase him to literally the ends of the earth with that ultimate, the cease and desist. Once he's locked on, he's kind of going on a one-way trip, for better or worse.
We have no contest from J-Team so far. And I want to ask you, when should J-Team start to panic? When do they say, okay, we might be falling a bit too far behind and we have to look for plays?
When you look at the lanes, I feel like all the lanes will feel comfortable at most stages of the game, except for maybe Rock later on when Leaky is able to start winning out in the 1v1s. But a potential catch here.
Gonna be tagged up. He still
Everyone's
has the
here.
quickness available. Hana going through directly with the cease and desist. They're gonna burst the Viego down immediately. Rock going forward to get the kill onto the support. The fight is on.
Uniboy's dead.
Trapped in the Depths Realm. He's still alive for now, but can he run away? He's going in the wrong direction here. Little V has to jump across the wall. Is gonna take his pet cat with him, but Uniboy, is he gonna be as lucky? Takes one tower shot. Nesty coming in. He gets the slow on to Little V. He charges for it with the Kingslayer. Ooh. Not enough damage, but Hana still hot on the heels, and he's not going to find it. The carries do make it out alive, but they leave their supporting cast and also the Herald to DCG.
Enzo coming out clutch in that instance to keep his AD carry alive, just barely by the narrowest of margins. And Diego, man.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
As we get to see the replay, they jump onto Woody, think they have the catch, but the reinforcements are there. The ultimate is just much more useful coming in from the Vi at this stage in the game because everyone is just so fragile that it's so easy to just tear a person apart. And in tandem, like the combination of cease and desist along with the Mordekaiser ultimate just prevents J-Team from ever 5v5ing in that fight, right?
Yeah, we saw Uniboy get very little mileage in that team fight. He had to use the Emperor's Divide in the Death Realm, and that did not carry over to the real world there. So, massive impact by Leaky. It's always terrifying to fight this Mordekaiser early on, and we do have surprisingly not as much of a gold lead as I would have assumed. Only 300 gold here. Let's see if Uniboy is able to walk back to lane just fine. He's crossing the ward. Everyone's catching back onto him. Divine Thunder over the wall. What an alley-oop, and then push Hana back over to finish up onto Enzo. That's gonna be quite an interesting sight here. Little V trying to chase up on.
This is a reset, maybe?
Into the back line. Little V barely gets out. Rock is here first. Mordekaiser not here, so they're trying to fight a 5v4, but it's not going their way. Rock finally gets a return kill. Cruzcata actually flashes over 1v2. Barely gets Little V. The ricochet goes back, but it's not enough to take down the Zeri.
That was a clear showcase of Viego nerf in that fight, right? He lost damage on that execute power from the ultimate, and that was the narrowest of margins for that first reset, right? So if they got that, if this was Viego pre-nerf, this would have been a much different fight possibly. But you see here, DCG, they understand how to play a pick composition, and that as well, I mean, you just go in on these isolated targets, and the turn comes, and you're going to see the ultimate come through from Kongria on the re-engage. It just comes very short, 120-ish HP, and that certainly is the difference of that execution power, and even at the end, living on pretty much 1 HP there. Eventually falling, and Enzo once again coming up clutch, keeping Lil V alive, even though he does bring a ricochet over, the extra shielding able to keep his AD carry alive.
And I do want to remind everyone that actually was a 4v5 fight.
Yep.
DCG won that handedly. They also got a free turret plating in the top side with Mordekaiser pushing in. Finally, they have established themselves a very strong gold lead. We haven't seen this Viego being able to do much of anything here. Now we are going to go into the Mountain Drake fight. This time around, Leaky has come down first. Rock doesn't have his TP, so I wonder if J-Team are even going to try and contest this one. They are going to be outnumbered and outgunned for sure in this one.
I think they're going to give. It's going to be Rock on the Krug, so he's just trying to get as much gold as he can. And with that in mind, yeah, J-Team will just go ahead and concede it, knowing that the Mordekaiser isn't showing topside. So definitely the possibility of that Mordekaiser making his way over, and these smite fights are impossible if you have to try and smite against a Mordekaiser team, right? So the moment you show your face, you just get ulted by Mordekaiser, and it's only a PvE situation. But a possible catch.
Bottom side, Cruzcata in trouble here, but if they're going to turn it around onto Kongre, goodbye. Couldn't finish that one fast enough, and that's going to be a 2-for-1. Little V, I think he senses danger as he's going to get cut off from the retreat. Yeah, maybe he didn't.
Wait.
Ooh, but Hana actually messes up the flash and doesn't find the stun. Rock gonna come in with
very much an easy turn.
Oh, Cruzcata actually able to shield block that, but yeah. Little V says all calculated, and we got ourselves a game.
I'm listening to the game sounds and I just immediately hear ping, 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 ping right after it all died. So that's someone clearly unhappy from
That was
one
a
of
bit of
these
a throw.
teams.
Well, let's
Whether it's
be
just hard
completely
pinging a
honest.
summoner or hard pinging the fact that there's a bit of a whiff or a cooldown. But Clement, let's talk about this Viego pick. He died again. He didn't do
It's
anything.
about the mind game, okay? It's about little V outplaying. If Viego didn't set him up, would
Wait,
they
wait, wait.
dive him like this?
I
Watch this from
figured it
Hana.
out.
Oh,
Alright,
this is
this
gonna hurt.
was
Oh,
very comical. That was really comical. And Rock able to get here in time to turn things around. Uniboy even able to snag a kill for himself too, which is huge. Because one of the win conditions when we saw the draft is, well, Uniboy should be able to hard smash. But when you look at the scoreline so far, it's 2-0-4 for Nesty. And he's only 10 CS behind. Uniboy hasn't been able to leverage much in this particular matchup. So, really, just DCG understanding where they need to play. And again, this is a squad that I think has the highest floor out of all of our top 4 squads.
yeah, they're super consistent in game all the time. Nesty this split especially has been popping off. We are going to get an objective fight onto the top side. Excuse me, not a fight. DCG just going to take this one free as J-Team try to close out on the bottom lane. Big bounty on Nesty. We have a 3-man setting up. Will be a 1v3 situation.
Has Crown.
Going in underneath the tower, but the wave is nearly cleared off, and someone has to tank this one. Kongria is going to walk away after taking 2 tower shots. Herald already popped for Hana, and Uniboy senses something ain't right around this tower. He's just going to back off, give it over.
And he builds another tower that gets knocked down. That tower's not going to last too long there. Things considering, DCG do have a almost 3k gold lead. Nothing quite to write home about, but it's certainly nothing to scoff at as well, and the first item purchases are going to be really important. Korea does have the Divine Thunder completed, and while I would say Hana with this completed Chainsword is going to have the bigger 1 item power spike, at 2 items I do feel like Korea will start to offer a little bit more than the Vi.
Yeah.
Red team's turret has been
Engage potential, a little bit more damage coming out. I do want to ask though, how does J-Team play against the Mordekaiser? Leaky, you know, so far he's not been bringing the fights all that much, but once he does, oh, it's just so terrifying to think about. I'm not sure how J-Team play up against this Mord.
Well, let me tell you about Leaky's Mortar. He's played 3 games of it, and he's had a 100% win rate. And he has a 9.3 KDA. This man, when he gets this champion and the situation allows it, is just run away with these games. And again, I have to be critical. J-Team, they blinds pick the Sejuani and allow Leaky the opportunity to pick up the Mordekaiser, where in a blind pick situation, it's hard for me to think that they would opt for the Mordekaiser themselves. And that's going to really hamper them, especially for these objective fights.
We have the
much
much
less
coming down.
full-blown
Mordekaiser
team
does
fights.
have the TP here. And J-Team, I think they sense danger. They realize that there's a real chance
Teleport
for
coming
the...
in.
Oh,
Oh, it resets!
Oh, they reset the
Oh, that's
Drake.
game
They
over.
don't get anything done here, but DCG
They
don't
have
have
to
a
leave.
great angle of engage. They're just going to say thank you very much and take down the 3rd Drake of the game. Ooh, J-Team, back out a little bit. I wouldn't say they backed out early, but the Drake was missed opportunity for sure there.
Yeah, it was, I would say, quite unfortunate in that situation that the Dragon actually reset, because the plan was actually quite good coming in from J-Team. We go in, start the Dragon, we're going to be able to burn this objective down before the Mordekaiser comes with that ultimate, but the reset prevents that from actually happening. So they're forced to then just full-on disengage because they know they will never win that smite fight against the Mordekaiser. And now it's a bit of a waiting game. Maybe they decide to pull the trigger once Lil V hits the third item. Maybe it's when Uniboy hits his second item. I think the second item on the Azir will be pretty critical in this instance. It will amplify a lot of his damage and really transition him from more of a engage carry to an actual backline hyper carry. But Lil V also definitely a lot of carry threat. 2 completed items right now. And while Cascada also packing a lot of punch, the Zeri in these moments can have a lot of impact.
Leaky still looking damn terrifying here. He has almost the highest farm in the game, 954.
Yep.
Rock doesn't want any part of him, and this is what I love about Leaky's build. He does go for the demonic embrace second. He usually skips the Y line, wants to do even more damage to the front line when he can. And it's terrifying when Mordekaiser is the most fed person on the team. He's been split pushing the entire time. Kongre gonna face check right into a gank squad. Goodbye, V8. Go. Maybe I spoke a little bit too soon.
Alive.
Manages get out with the zoomies. Ignite's still burning, but he's gone. He's out. Viego, you see, he's not as bad as Lee Sin. Lee Sin would have died there, I think.
Lee Sin also has a lot of escapes. I'm not quite sure about that one, Clement.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something good for Kongre's Viego pick. This has been incredibly underwhelming, if I'm being completely honest.
It's been a very disappointing game coming in from Kongre. Yeah, not much to say about that Viego pick. We get to see the gold graph. It's been smooth sailing so far for DCG. Can they maintain that tempo? One of the big differences that we've seen in this particular matchup over a very similar one that we saw in the previous game with the Pretender Silas versus the Mission Azir is the fact that Nesty still has the crown, but when he walks up into these fights, he's not getting his crown popped early. Which means once the fight actually breaks out, he has a lot of kill threat because of the extra damage and the durability coming out from that active.
Yeah, J-Team really need to find a stray shot onto him or just get Uniboy to poke him down before this happens. So far, DCG still dominating the map at this point. They have both side lanes controlled here. 3,000 gold lead. And we're looking at an Hextech Soul in 90 seconds. How did J-Team come back in this fight? Because they are going to be forced to go towards that objective.
They are very much going to be forced to contest it, because if they do give it up, will be so much extra chase potential, so much extra damage coming in. Nesty eating a little bit of damage. At least he's got honey fruit there. Huh? Okay. Yeah, sure. He healed. No problem. DCG, they are in firm control, and for J-Team, they're trying to play around the pick power coming in from Viego Yumi. Just hasn't panned out, because literally every single time Konya looks for a pick or tries to explore the map, there's 3 people waiting for him, and he's just forced to ult away every single time.
Yeah, it does seem to be the problem right here. DCG, they're still completely uncontested in River Vision. Konya trying to get a speedy entrance into the river. No such luck. And here we go. This is for the Hextech Soul. J-Team have to advance here. I don't think they can survive giving up the soul. Gonna try and find their angle through this ramp. Rock does make it into the river. In he goes onto Hana, but they don't find the kill just yet. And then we have the quickness onto the ramp. Leaky amongst everyone here, but he might have gone a little bit too deep. He's trying to find Rock, and he gets the Death Scratch back onto Kongria. Rock is the first one to fall, and in goes the rest of the team. That's completely
first reset.
Down. Little B still trying to cut away from this one. He will get out, but only him and the support do survive here. DCG walk triumphantly towards the soul.
We finally get one reset for Kongria in a team fight, and then immediately he gets taken down right after coming out of that soul form. DCG, they run away with the soul, and a couple extra kills to boot. Now they'll even get themselves the Baron buff. So that went south very, very quickly for Jake.
Yeah, I have to say I love Leaky's target selection right there. He goes directly for the tank, and nobody else can walk down the ramp.
Yeah,
They're
they
just
can't
like, oh well.
Because
What do we do?
Korea has been set so far behind. Yes, you have the Yumi to give a little bit of HP. We see it in the replay here. They engage onto the Vi, which makes a lot of sense, right? If they're going to steal your jungler for the smite fight, then at least we make it a full 50-50. We burst out the Vi. Leaky removes away Rock, and now they don't have any front line to actually apply the split pressure for the backline to actually do damage. And well, Viego got a team fight reset, and that was it.
And that was a fight that I frankly felt like J-Team actually had a pretty decent start of. You know, the quickness was used to zone. And if you watch that fight, Nesty missed all 3 of his abducts. He didn't land a single one. And,
it shows in the damage.
Yeah, I think that, you know, that's a massive Silas that didn't do anything in that team fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, they still couldn't close it out.
Yeah, and now they're just begging for a trap to happen here.
Oh, it might happen onto Leaky. Never mind, Leaky's way too tanky. What was that durability? Okay. I spoke too soon.
Decent chunk of damage, but if you can't one-tap him while he's stunned, he will be able to press the R key, and then it's no bueno afterwards. So J-Team, they at least fish for a play, but the tables are really, or the odds are really stacked against them. They're down 7k, they're down the Hex Sextol, they're also down a Kongria.
Oh, Hana just going in for this one, but he might have gone in too far. Final chapter
YOLO.
zones everyone away, and that's the first
Here we
reset.
go.
In goes JT. They're chasing down everyone. But Leaky's gonna turn it around as he goes to the death row directly onto Little V. He finishes off. He's not afraid of the chase down whatsoever. And JT crumble after getting the first kill.
They finally get the pick that they've long awaited. Unfortunately, it was on to Hana, who just isn't packing the same amount of fedness the rest of his squad is packing. And now that'll just be the end of the game.
That's the Edwards divide on the other side. Rock trying to run away on the Sejuani. Bristle not going to make it to the fountain. And congratulations to DCG. They prove that the version 2 is better than the original. They beat the prototype here and advance as the best team out of the J-Team universe.
DCG, they looked a little off coming into spring playoffs, but a different version here coming into summer. And if you'd like to have a better version, you'd love to have the better version in the summer split where world slots are on the line.
You can see Cold Ice. He is so happy right here. He used to be the analyst for J-Team, so he gets a bit of sweet revenge against his home organization. Nicely done. Incredible game from Leaky. And I just can't get over how much these Viego, Reset, Yumi compositions have just not been cutting it.
They've hard fizzled out. And just imagine a world where you're able to get mid lane priority with Uniboy on the Zir, and then you have a Lee Sin to take advantage of that lane pressure or lane priority. You can constantly invade then to just choke Hana out of his own jungle. And one of the things when we highlight about this team is that they work well as a mid jungle between Nesty and Hana, but they aren't the most dominating 2v2. They will concede a lot of things early on if you attack them directly. And J-Team's approach this game was very passive. They go for their biggest play was that level 3 dive, which was just so misconstrued.
Yeah, I felt like they gave Leaky way too much room in this one. I totally agree with you. The Sejuani pick, I looked at that, I was like, guys, are you forgetting something? Because I think you just summoned Sauron back into Middle Earth, you know, because he's just going to dominate all of you. And J-Team, throughout this game, they had 2 instances where they fought 5v4s, and they used Viego as the main initiation tool. That was just like, I'm not so sure about that one, you know, like
No.
they gave a lot of time for Leaky to just free farm on top side.
So not only was it allowing DCG to get that counter pick in the Mordekaiser, it was also saving all their draft resources in locking in R5 Viego. So both things just went catastrophically wrong, Clement.
Yeah, that's my meme today. I don't really get it. The R4 and R5 picks were kind of sus, if you ask me right there. I feel like they should have gone for a pure disengaged composition. Not sure what they were thinking about the last 2 ones. And you know, Mordekaiser, he's a powerful pick, but I don't think he usually looks like it. Like even in the good Leaky games, there has been some more back and forth with the Mordekaiser.
He has gotten to be pretty monstrous towards the end of the game each game, though. So
Yeah,
it's mostly about slowing him down in the early game. And J-Team, the level 3 dive was not it. So we get to see the post-game damage charts. Of course, it was mostly Silk Cascada, but a lot of Leaky in there. But the more important graph to take a look at is that gold difference. There was never a spike in the direction of J-Team, and Leaky clearly gets MVP with how much of a raid boss he was in this game.
You always got to remember his Mordekaiser. He's now 4-0 on the pick. They're going to be going up into the 2nd place slot, awaiting the winner from Beyond Gaming versus J-Team. And I hope that people still remember it by the time that postseason comes around. That's going to be our tiebreaker so far. Now, we have all 8 teams locked into their slots. I'm sure we're going to have the bracket up a little bit sooner, but I want you to talk me through our first couple of matches. The first one, of course, is going to be our 4th and 5th place between CFO and Frank. Who do you think is going to be coming out of that one?
A lot of questions do need to be answered by both of these squads in the 2-week break, as of course we are going to be shifting over to a completely new patch, so it feels like it's going to be a completely different game, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of which of these teams will be able to adapt more. I'd like to see Frank Esports advance in this matchup, but clearly when you're gone 0-3 in the season record, it's hard to make the prediction of Frank Esports actually being able to take this one. And the second matchup is even more intriguing though, right? J-Team, Beyond Gaming. J-Team, 5-game win streak coming into the last game of the split against Beyond Gaming. Drop it and then drop back-to-back against DCG to now fall into this 3-6 matchup against Beyond Gaming, who have been the ultimate jokers this split.
I'm going to get you to commit. I'm going CFO and J-Team in the first round.
All right.
Who's your pick? Let's go.
Oh, this is my heart, really. I want Frank Esports Beyond Gaming.
Okay, we're going absolutely different directions here. This is the most fun when our color casters actually have different opinions. Yeah, we'll see who does come out again. And just a reminder, we are going to be playing best of 5s in the first round. It's not like 2021. We have shifted all the way towards best of 5s. And we are going to be coming back into playoffs on August the 18th. I misspoke right there. We're going to start out with Beyond Gaming versus J-Team as our first match. All of those teams that you saw in the upper bracket do get one extra chance. They can lose one series, and then they can start over on the loser bracket. But for MFT and Impunity, they do not have that luxury. If they drop out, that's just the end of their postseason for them. We're going to be heading very close to Worlds after this one. And just to remind everyone what's on the line, the first place team does go directly to the World Championship. So it's
Yep,
been an
straight into
absolute
groups.
pleasure this split to cast with you, Nightstar. And this is me from Clement. Thank you all for watching, for sticking up with us in the PCS Summer Split. It's goodbye for now, and see you in playoffs on the 18th.